Mayang adlaw, I am Lorraine.
Sophia.
Chesca.
Camille.
Ella.
Ziyi.
Jherica.
And Eliza.
You're listening to the Daily DAYscourse, brought to you by Eurasian Youth Iloilo City,
where we talk about relevant social topics through the perspective of the Ilonggo youth.
Welcome to episode 1, Morena, Mestizo, Colorism, and the Filipino.
We're sure everyone has experienced colorism to an extent, and we're here to talk about it. So let's proceed to our open forum.
All right. So before we start, we have to have our notions about colorism. So what are your own definitions of colorism?
So in my own understanding, ang colorism is daw ang preferential treatment of same-race people based on skin color, meaning daw amo na siya ang difference sa pagtrato sa society or individual sa mga light-skinned or mga puti pag dark-skinned ang mga itom. So ang discrimination nga mostly ginaubya siya in the form of jokes, remarks, and many more. Pero yung point is, tamaan siya ka-normalize wala. So most people hindi aware nga sala siya. Or generally, hindi lang gid sila aware sa. So, how about you guys? What is your take? Ano yung own definition sa colorism?
For me, ang akong definition is like similar to Jherica's definition, where like a skin color is more let's say ahead or above the other, especially in the society subong. You can see many artists, or you very rarely see artists with a skin tone that's actually not Filipina, but Filipina in a sense, you know. I don't know if you get it, but the Filipina in a sense. Like also as Jherica said, it takes a lot, like in the form of jokes. Like for example, you be brown skinned, and then suddenly they're gonna turn off the lights, and then they're gonna say, "Oh, where did you go? Una din ka nagkadyo," something like that. No. Jokes like that, kid. It really takes place in so many different forms, pero it's so normalized because like Jherica said, we don't notice that it's actually a form of colorism na.
True. And from what I've picked up from the both of you guys, for me, colorism is when a person has grown up in an environment kag na-integrate niya sa iya nga mindset that there are certain beauty standards that are better and that deem inferior ang natural Filipino beauty ta. So I think that's why nga we see artists that are that are more successful compared to Filipinas or Filipinos that grew up here, that really have natural Filipino physique. That's why let's say the light-skinned people, ang mga maputi, mga kapwa, mas ginadot sila bilang ay kagwapa simo.
But I also agree nga though, especially sa celebrities, that people who are mixed are often more successful because of the beauty standard. And para sa akin, colorism is when, positive and negative stereotypes are attached to each, to a skin color. And everyone just believes it. Bisan it has no basis in science or anything. They just believe the stereotypes attached to it. And it's so ingrained in our brains na, okay, mas nami ang white, mas nami ang da-da-da-da-da. And it's just super normalized sa Pinas, and especially here in my own experience. Basta muna.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've always defined it as more of making specific assumptions that directly relate to somebody's skin tone, to the point where correlations can be made between skin tone and educational attainment, occupational success, health. So I think that's more serious. But yeah, but I think it is.
From what you all have said, that is colorism for you. Pero for me, in my definition, colorism is any sort of prejudice na lang to any skin color. Because actually today, because of the emergence of social media, people now tend to lean more naman on morenas din. Like, pag sinasabi na, di ka maganda, maputi ka lang naman, maganda ka sana, kaso maputi ka. Pero like, mas maganda pa rin mga morena kasi hindi lang naman sa ganda nilang kulay. Diba?
Oh,
That's
true.
what they said. So like, for the emergence of social media, mas accepted na rin man ng mga morena. Pero I admit naman that in the lower masses, there is some kind of prejudice or like pag maputi ka, may privilege, something like that na assumption. So that's an issue by itself. Pero good for us middle class, we have access to social media. Pero nga yung mga tao na may access only to TV, they deem na mas maputi, they have privilege. Kasi yung mga, syempre yung mga Filipino masses talaga may mga pangarap din sila eh. So, ang pangarap nila mostly is maging maputi. So, that's an issue itself. So, that is colorism for me na any kind of prejudice basta based on skin color.
All right, okay. I agree with all your opinions and your thoughts. And so they're actually really similar. So let's look into the dictionary definition of colorism. Because according to Merriam-Webster, it says here that colorism refers to prejudice or discrimination, especially within a racial or ethnic group, favoring people with lighter skin over those with darker skin.
So, guys, have you any personal experience with colorism? Can you share, Sophia?
Yeah, for sure. This was when I was around 7 to 9, around that age, and then I was going swimming with my relatives and everything. I was out for 3 to 4 hours. I went back with a tan. I was a bit darker than I was, and then one of my relatives, they came up to me and then they were like, "Oh my gosh, you got so dark. You look like a log." I was literally like 7. I was 7 and I thought, okay, they're right. Tsakto sila kay they're the adult. So that's when it was really ingrained in my brain. Yeah, I have to do this. I have to be lighter to be pretty. Muna. But yeah. That's for me.
Okay, for me naman, when I was born, I was a dark-skinned baby. I was like darker than what I am now. But I'm not that dark. Pero, the usual, not more, basta not, hindi ko mestiza. And then my mom has a very fair skin tone, Abe. She looks very Eurocentric in a sense. My relatives, they came up to my mom, just like, ano ba na bata? Uman na aka itong sang bata mo, alaw ay sang bata mo, pero ikaw yung puti-puti. And I was a kid, ha? I didn't even know how to speak yet. Tapos you're gonna tell my mom, ngalaw ay mo bata, just because nga skin tone niya mo ni. I feel like it's not only degrading in a sense, ha? Pero as a kid, you grow up thinking just because my skin tone isn't this particular color doesn't mean meaning niya nga hindi na ko gwapa. I cannot fit into the beauty standard because of my skin, something like that. It's still very vivid for me nga mga statements na ginhambal sa akin before just because of my skin color. Yeah.
For me naman, yeah, I grew up fair skin. Like kung makita niyo ko subong, this was my skin color before I started competing swimming. Diba when you swim, you're usually exposed to direct heat. So mga pila na siya ka oras because we train and then during competitions you're exposed to even more heat. So majority of the people get tanned. So when you're someone who's fair skinned, it's very easy to point out na something has changed. So, you're gonna be told na either tsura mo daw ate, you got darker, naglain na tsura mo. It's different from a sunburn because a sunburn, you can see your skin peeling and somehow it's normal. Pero when you get tanned, it's somewhat different now since it's very easy to point out, and for other people it's degrading, and for other people they can consider it a joke. It depends man on how you take it. And for me, I was kind of neutral about it because I thought it was normal. Pero now that I've educated myself about colorism, it's something to be fixed, not something to be normalized.
Me, personally, I've been doing ballet for a little over a decade, around 12 years. And at one point, I was also into swimming, which caused me to tan quite a bit. And I'm already naturally quite tan. So I got a lot darker because of the swimming. And it's like normal practice. I feel for ballerinas na before a recital or a performance, you're told na don't swim, na don't swim like a week before a recital or a show because then you'll get darker and it doesn't look good on stage. And I was told that personally very many times na it wouldn't look good while performing if I'm darker. I don't look good if I'm darker, and it definitely left an impact on me because I ended up quitting swimming because of all of it. So yeah.
For me, like Chesca, it was quite reverse. Na I learned it the hard way. Like because of my skin color, I grew up as someone fair, so I become entitled because of my own skin color. Like I think na because maputi ako, I can really socially climb. Parang ganyan. I learned, I was hindi naman brought up that way, but I felt that way. Pero I was not, it was not tolerated by my parents. Pero I felt that way because of the people around me. They say na, uy, maputi, bagay mag-beauty pageant. Or maputi, there's maging successful to, parang ganyan. Anak ng mestito, elitista, parang ganon. Pero like Chesca rin, I was educated because of the people around me rin. So it was a great influence. So yeah, that was not really an experience with colorism, but how I learned colorism.
Sa ako naman, most of my experiences, wala ko kabalo na colorism siya. When my tita told me, Gluta, kabala, gwapa, kagidi akong puti ka. I was 12 back then, so I didn't mind. Pero looking back, dito ko lang na-realize kung ano yan namin, kag ano siya kasala. Na-notice, kumanda yun sa bata ko na ang favoritism wala sa teachers and even sa relatives sa mga puti nga kids. Though, wala sa ako na experience. Pero again, I didn't mind. Kaya wala man ko kabaludaan before. Pero sa nag-high school ko, dito mas nag-expose ko kag naging self-aware. Kaya may experience kasi ang grade 7 and wala gid galain buot sa mga people. Kibalaan ko even sila hindi man aware nga colorist Taylor remark or nasakitan nila feelings ko or something like that. Pero we were playing volleyball and it was like mga 5 to 6 p.m. So dulom and someone joke about nga hindi ko kitaon. Like amo to lang previously kagina nga remark nga namin ni Thea. Yeah, amo to na experience ko man to and everyone laughed. So, uncomfortable ko that time. Pero pabayaan ko lang. And again, I have nothing against them. And actually, mani feeling ko sa akong experiences, I can forgive and forget the people who said those. Pero ang words, bala, gastay siya daan sa imo. Gastay siya sa head mo. So, mato nasakitan ko. And before, I can't deal with it. Hindi, most are in the forms of joke mo. So, I was pressured to think of it and accept it as a joke. Kaya label ka nga snowflake. So, ang ginaisip mo lang, okay, joke lang, pero hindi pag-isipa, doon mo na. So, nag-move on lang ko. Pero nag-stay, git siya sa akon. So, I became insecure. Pero subong, I'm trying to be confident naman and ga-effort ko mag-glow up, inside glow up, pero like, ma-accept ko akong self, amo na. Kamuya though,
Yes.
how were you able to deal with it based on your personal experience? How about you guys?
For me, I wasn't able to deal with it until today actually. Hindi ko I don't know how to say this. Pero hindi ko siya ma-internalize, I guess, nga even though I have learned about colorism, ara gid yapon ang mindset sa akon nga hindi ko puti, so hindi ko gwapa. Ara gid sa akon because I grew up thinking that way. It's very hard to reverse it at this point. It's not like a sudden process, man. It's a very slow process, Abby, nga you have to take it step by step. Kaya hindi mo man magulti mo mind, di ba, nga to think na, ay, okay, gwapa man ko gali, bisan hindi ko puti. So, until today, I still try my very best to reverse whatever to reverse the thoughts in my head because of what people have told me before. Because I've been told nga mo niko, because ever since I was a kid mo, why would you say that to a kid, di ba? Obviously, hasta pagdako siya, dala-dala, yagid gapon. Until today, I cannot deal with it personally, like properly. Pero I've been working on myself na lang nga, okay, gina-try ko na lang accept nga amo gani ako skin tone nga I cannot change it naman. So I just have to accept that nga I can still fit into the beauty standard even though I have a different skin from those who are already in the standard na.
I definitely agree na in my brain there's still the subconscious thought na I'm not a light skin color, I'm not pretty. I have to work around it. Like I try to work on the other physical aspects of myself to make up for my skin color. Bala, that's what my thinking was for a while. But there's the cycle of hatred. Bala, whether or not you want to, if you still internalize those values, you will subconsciously pass it down to the people you talk to and everything. So, especially since may mahod ko, I really don't want to pass it on to her because it's especially bata-bata, pa sa bala nga 11, she's only 11, and I really don't want to pass it on. Kaya I want her to grow up na bala nga she doesn't have all of these standards, pushing on her muna. So I just kind of see it as my job to try to break that cycle, bala, for me and for her. And I think, it's not yet done. It's still gonna take a while. But it's definitely something I'm working on.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Regarding to Sophia's explanation, I want to ask you guys, have you ever heard the phrase of "you're not ugly, you're just poor"? Again,
Yes.
you're not ugly, you're just poor. Because if you're rich or if you're privileged enough, you get to buy whatever products there is to make your skin fair. It's quite disturbing to think that you have to be privileged to be able to be pretty. No, I think no one's ugly, man. No one's ugly. And despite of financial stability, you don't have to base it on your own beauty. So we are already aware that the beauty standard is being white, puti, mestiza. But I think we should change that because right now some people in their mind being mestiza and white is privilege. Like, have you seen anyone na dark skinned who was able to be given privilege? Nakita ka mo?
No.
Wala, diba? So yeah, we deal with it in different ways. Ako since you're exposed to the heat all the time. You wear sunblock, but then wala man siya gapon pulos because it only prevents you from getting sunburned. So you have to accept it. The way I dealt with it is acceptance. And I think that was hard. Pero what can we do, Gidby? You're exposed to the heat. That's all.
Okay, for me, I think no one should have felt bad about themselves for being themselves. So in general, people will say things about you no matter what naman. And the main problem is loving ourselves talaga. I think that's the main issue. So with colorism, it's just the tip of the iceberg. But there are so many underlying social issues that needs to be addressed that in the long run, the issue of colorism will also be eliminated. So yeah, that's mental health. Actually, colorism, it's you're exploiting the people's insecurities. That's why we have skin whitening products, diba? So I think how we should deal with it is we just appreciate who we are. Actually, there are many people na maputi, pero the pigmentation is ang di ma-appeal sa eyes, the pigmentation. So para sa iba, pangit pa rin. Pero that's ulang pangit pero para sa iba. And so we just kung anong meron tayo, let's just work with it. And yeah, mag-glow up na lang. And kung ano na lang meron tayo, yan na lang. Because the only thing that we can control is our minds, not other people. And kung i-blame na natin because of our past colonization, we can't change anything ourselves. And the present is what matters. So I think that's how we should deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me as well. I'm still struggling, I think, to fully love my natural skin color, especially since the amount of, it's like very internalized na gid. And even if I tell other people na I think I look good, even if I am not super light, though it's still within me. But one thing that really helped me deal with it is that the boost of representation in all fields. Na seeing somebody excel and seeing somebody na people think look good, who's Morena or Moreno, though it makes you feel better about yourself. Na I can do that too. My skin color shouldn't be a reason to hold me back from being the best that I can be. So, okay, so since I think all of us have had experiences with colorism, do you know anyone else who has experienced colorism?
Yeah, I think I know someone, and I feel like I have to be honest here. I feel like as like a community, colorist ideologies have been embedded here in the Philippines. Has been like in everyone, even though we don't realize it. It's been like part of our subconscious, and we tend to be colorist even though we don't mean it because it has been inculcated in us. So for me, I think there's like this instance. Nga my cousin ko, he's a guy, and he's like a year younger than me, and ever since he was younger, he was dark skinned. He was the type that usually goes out to play outside. And we do make unnecessary comments time to time, especially his family, especially our family. And then most of which are like harmless, but they're still inherently bad. But they're not like actual bullying and like telling you you're ugly and hideous and stuff. They just unnecessary pointing out of his color, like hey, you're dark, stuff like that. And only then recently, subong ko lang na-realize, secretly, he has been using whitening soaps. And I thought about it and contemplate ko na-realize na it has greatly impacted him. All those like comments from the past that we've been saying to them, it has really impacted him and affected him to make him think na he should use whitening soaps. He's been using his mother's whitening soap, and we just realized it right now. So I've been telling him right now, currently telling him, he looks good. He's fine as he is, and that that he should be proud of his Morena skin. So yeah, that's like my that's the yeah.
If the question is if we know anyone who has experienced colorism, I mean, like, I know you guys. So, but if we're putting it the generalization, siguro maybe the people that I'm close with who also swim. You know, we wear like these cyclings that are until our knee, where when we're done swimming, tsura na mundo black sambo. That's what we're called, like black sambo. Okay, we're white at the top and then brown at the bottom. I don't know, like people seem to normalize it. I used to think it was a joke, but maybe it was just me who did not internalize it because I wasn't called it as often. But I'm thinking about the other people who were also called those. I don't know how they feel. What if they feel degraded? What if they don't take it as a joke? That's why I think we should like address this issue wherein we really have to change our ways and the words that we use. Sometimes it may be funny to us, but it might be degrading to others. What's funny for us isn't funny for others. What we find pleasant isn't also pleasant for them. So we have to be considerate and sensitive to other people. Yeah, that's all.
Wait, well, the question is here, do you guys know anyone who hasn't experienced colorism? Kaya ang nowadays, you may be white or mestiza ka man or morena. I'm sure at some point, people have told you nga, oh, you're pretty just because of your skin color, or you're not pretty just because of your skin color. So I'm pretty sure nga at some point, every single person, or like not really every single, but most of us has experienced colorism to an extent. And that's the problem here. Okay? It's been inculcated, it's been ingrained in our minds for so long that it's just like a super normal thing that people don't really give an effort to reverse whatever that thinking is. Yeah, because it's in a, most of us grew up with that mindset. Abe nga, ay okay, kay puti siya, gwapa siya immediately. Like not even sparing a glance at the face just because of the skin. Ay okay, puti siya, gwapa siya. Ay okay, Morena siya, hindi siya kaya maging Miss Universe, or hindi siya pageant worthy or whatever just because of her skin color. So that is the problem here. The question is for me, it's not do you know anyone who has experienced colorism, sorry, but it's do you know anyone who hasn't experienced colorism?
Yep, I think everyone here, and a lot, like 99% of the Filipinos out there have definitely experienced it. But I have this one story of my friend. Every day, magsunod siya sa klase, she was made fun of. You know, ang gin-mention kagina nga, joke nga mag-off ang lights, why ka na muna. Every single day, she was the butt of those jokes. And it's just, I feel bad that I wasn't able to realize how it was affecting her, because I thought, haha, joke man. I just really feel bad that I wasn't able to be there for her when she was clearly not comfortable with those jokes. And I agree with what was said earlier. Nga, we have to be a lot more considerate. Kay we're not the only person here, and yeah, muna.
May ara ako, like, hindi ko siya kilala personally, pero nag-watch ko sa YouTube vid, si, Avelovin, doon muna, tapos yan, na YouTube name, do Avelovinet, doon muna. Tapos, may video siya, nag-share yan na na siya wala nakuha ang job sa Isaki Airlines, nga gin-applyan niya because of her skin color. Diba na, ang colorism, systematic man siya, sa mga gusto ko i-point out.
Also, for me, growing up, I experienced how social economic status is often, is often associated with your color. Like growing up, I pansin ko here in the Philippines na because of your working conditions, like if you're a farmer, nakabilad ka sa araw, you have dark skin color. So when you see a dark skin color person, you associate that person to be a farmer, which is a job that is often seen as lowly here in our country. And because yung people who are rich, they work in offices, they work in, hindi sila nakabilad sa init. So that's associated na naka-aircon, and maputi daw, pag putis mayaman, yan. So growing up, I saw that because I live in the province. So every day I see people that are nag-farm, and my heart, sometimes it's wrong na you associate them with like that when their job is, they're the backbone of our economy, and you associate them with something like that. So that's how I know anyone who has experienced with colorism, because I know a lot of them here in our province.
Yeah, I think sadly it's a very, very common experience. That's why I agree sa inambal ni ng Thea nga, it's not really about who has experienced colorism but who hasn't. And I think that just goes to show how normalized it is here, that such a huge amount of the population has experienced it. So relating to that, how normalized do you think colorism is in the Philippines?
Oh, very. It's really ridiculously normalized. I think it was made evident naman because we all had their experiences. I think everybody said naman nga agreed that to some sort of degree, everyone, like 99%, like 99%, 90% or whatever, like a lot of Filipinos have experienced colorism. And because of such, this colorist nga mga ideologies, this notions nga of being dark skinned, it's being associated with being hideous or being ugly. And this social hierarchy that revolves around the skin tones of a person, it's really debilitating. And the reason for this, why this keeps being perpetrated, being committed in our minds, is because of media. You could see it naman in like mga ads sa TV, almost always, they always pick mga actors and actresses that are like skin. And because of such, children at a young age would look at television and be like, oh, actresses and actors are pretty and they're light skin. I think this is what it is. So, though, yeah, it's very evident, especially pag it's sa mga billboards. And the fact nga mga empires of like whitening companies and brands, like example Bello, Nivea, they're really, really sustaining. They're like really growing as like companies and as an industry here in the Philippines, and that is really quite awful.
For me, because I think colorism is very normalized here because yes, sabi ni ng Ella, capitalism is the key, business is business, and the emotional manipulation of people, yun yung business model. Like even in big media ads, sabi ni Ella, foreign endorsers are being hired or half-blooded Filipinos, and they are giving us unnecessary beauty standards because they are not us. And good for us, middle class, we have social media, pero what comprises 60% of our population? The Filipino masses. They have only access to TV and radio. So they are mesmerized by this quote-unquote prestige that being light-skinned will give them. So the only money they have, like yung 4-piece nila, they use it. Like I see a lot of people na 4-piece, they use it for white skin whitening products and rebond when they should reserve it for much more sense, like their food, their education. So that's what I said kanina. Colorism is a result of much more bigger social issues here in our country.
That's definitely true. But for me, on the smaller scale naman, if you go to family reunions, half of the time when you go in, someone is going to tell you, oh my gosh, nag-itom ka, you got darker, diba? It happens so often. And the fact that it's not even seen as an insult, it's just normal. It's just how it is. That's how families are. And it's just, you shouldn't be putting that into the minds of children, especially if it's coming from, their relatives. They think, these are the people who are taking care of me. They're correct. So, yeah. And on the bigger scale, let's talk about like teleserye and Filipino TV. It's very rare that you see someone who has darker skin playing the lead, playing the princess, playing the rich businessman. Because, as was mentioned earlier, we associate those poor jobs, we associate that to, darker skinned people. Even if, those quote unquote poor jobs literally keep this country alive, and we just minimize their role to so small that we can't even see them on TV. But yeah.
Sige. Wait, to add kay Sophia, may most mga media shows pala, instead nigaka sila sang actual na ita, gakuha sila sang lighter skin Filipino actors.
Like Daryl Yap.
Para mag-take, mayroon sila
Ella
sang
Cruz.
ang gluta, Even ang MMK, isang una, ang sa UP Diliman na-graduate, para i-tell iya story, nagkuha sila sang lighter skin Filipino actor, imbes nga actual nga,
wala sang proper representation.
So I think that the fact that we're talking about this, the fact that you have shared your personal experiences with this, just proves, it's very telling how normal it is to comment on people's skin. Diri ka naton. And the fact that also what Sophia said, sometimes it's also your own family members who reinforces the fact that there is a certain beauty standard that you should adhere to so that you're pleasing, you're acceptable, so that you're considered pretty. And it's also a shame, like what Jherica and Althea has said, what they do to in media when it comes to casting people, bala. The fact that the people has also approached Daryl Yap and told him that can you give a statement that tried to hold him accountable. Absolutely zero accountability happened because it's normal. It's okay. Why should we feel sorry that we offended someone, ay normal siya. So, tamaan ka disheartening, bala nga gatawag kita attention nga like, hey, this is wrong, we should
Like,
stop
ang
it.
pag
Pero
blackface,
waay
quote
reaction
unquote,
kay normal.
Have you guys heard of front row? Well,
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
definitely. Are you
Me
open-minded to
personally,
business?
wala.
for the for, for
What happened? How?
for
What
the
happened?
people who don't know what front row is, it's ano bale, they recruit
Gluta
people
brand. Oo.
to sell glutathione. I know someone who does. So you know, like, it makes people feel better about themselves na mag-use because you're suddenly going to the standard, diba? I mean, like, if you're someone who wasn't fair skinned, tapos you're suddenly fitting in, you know, it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling to like know that you're actually gonna be in it. And I grew up with the commercials of Nivea and Bello and actually ang Myra na pala na you just take that capsule and then you're suddenly whiter. You know, I think it made, and I saw it made people feel better about themselves. That's why I think by addressing this issue, we're gonna be able to make them feel better about themselves without any other products and just by being themselves.
Yeah, I agree that the beauty market, glutathione makeup products, it's very, very infiltrated with whitening products. And what I noticed is that even ang local brands, like the ones that were established in the Philippines, their products don't even fit Morena and Moreno skin tones. Like ang ilang na foundation and concealer shades are super light. Ang ilang na shades of blush and eyeshadow don't show up on darker skin. And for Filipino-grown brands who were established in the Philippines by Filipino owners, dapat sila ang aware that the demographic is much more larger when it comes to skin tone, and that they are definitely going to have a lot of darker skinned customers. So why do they still not choose to have a more diverse range while being aware of it? And I think I think it also like contributes to like the subliminal message that I have to be lighter in order to feel accepted, because these are the only because lighter skin tones are the only ones that are shown in media and on billboards, commercials. So I think there's like like the amount of factors that create a subliminal message in your head.
For me, kita niyo na ang sa SM, di ba, there's a row full of aesthetic shops, let's say, like mga waxing shops, salons, parlors, glutathione shops. There's like a space dedicated to beauty place, like places for beauty. You see, sunod-sunod sila, shops that advertise glutathione nga injectables. You know those IV drip bags? The IV drip bags, they're going to for some I don't know why, those IV drip bags that they insert the IV inside of you, and then the glutathione or whatever that they make you go that goes inside your bloodstream is supposed to make you whiter for some reason. I don't know how that works. Pero from that image pa lang, you'll see how normalized it is, because even sa malls itself you can see na the whitening industry is a very, very big thing, gid. So Watsons, magsulod ka mo sa Watsons, glutathione upon glutathione upon glutathione, edible glutathione, soap, lotion, things that you put on your body, tanang nga glutathione, ara, get you sa mall. And a mall is a place where everybody goes, like kids, adults, even old people. So, ano ayan makita sa mga bata? Like small kids who go to the mall and see, nga akadamo some whitening products is whatever I have not enough pa for for society. Is not suitable enough yet? Am I not white enough yet? So I think it's very normalized to an extent. Yeah, even in public places, makita mo gid ang representation of colorism.
That's it for today. This has been
Lorraine,
Sophia.
Chesca.
Camille.
Ella.
Ziyi.
Jherica.
And Eliza.
Thank you for tuning in to
Thank
this
you.
episode of the
Thank
Daily
you.
DAYscourse. Make sure to be on the lookout for the next episode, continuing today's conversation on Morena, Mestizo, Colorism, and the Filipino.
Yay!